We now cross to our foreign editor, Sophie Mukwena, who is outside the CEC meeting of the SACP, and she's chatting to Dr. Blade Nzimande.
Can you share with us what was the message and what was the purpose?
Well, as the president himself said, it was more than just a visit. It was meant to be an engagement with him as president of the ANC. It's the first time that he was interacting with the Central Committee as a whole, which is something that was important. There are a few messages, there were a number of messages, let me say so. I'll just highlight a few that he raised which were important. Firstly, he said he's committed to working with the alliance, and we must judge him by what he does together with the rest of the collective leadership of the ANC. The second main thing that he raised is the necessity for the alliance to discuss the economic challenges comprehensively, including outstanding issues. For instance, there is a chapter in the National Development Plan that we have a problem, and he's committed to say, let's discuss that and find a final solution to some of those things. And also what he raised, which was quite important, is how do we strengthen the alliance, make it relevant? And of course emphasizing the fact that he's willing, he's open, that there must be an engagement around us collectively discussing what we mean by reconfiguration so that we can hopefully be able to find one another. So that to us was very important, and the kinds of commitments that he has made.
Mr. Nzimande, towards NASREC, the SACP raised concerns around the approach, in terms of fighting corruption. You were very vocal on issues such as state capture. Post NASREC, yes, there's movement, but many people are saying the alliance reluctant to be vigorous in terms of fighting corruption, citing some members of the alliance who are holding positions, but also some in parliament.
Look, the president summed this issue of corruption very well. In essence, interpreting correctly one of the resolutions at NASREC, that before NASREC we used to talk about the fact that the ANC he was referring to, that there are perceptions of corruption. He said what was important about NASREC is that NASREC conference said the problem is no longer just perception, but the problem is that in reality there is corruption that is taking place, including state capture. The president emphasized the fact that and acknowledged the role that the SACP played, because we were the first, actually, from inside the alliance to point out to this problem of state capture, and that we must continue playing that role without fear, that people are going to say the party must shut up and so on. We cannot be able to do that. So we feel, though, now, in relation to your question, that summary by the president means now, which he said also, we are at one, that there is a problem, a reality of corruption, and that if we are to move forward, we must actually deal with the many challenges. One of the things we were discussing yesterday was precisely assessing what progress has been made since the NASREC conference and what are the outstanding challenges. And in summary, what we said is that what is positive coming out of NASREC is the commitment of the ANC under the leadership of President Ramaphosa to actually deal with the parasitic networks that had developed around government, the rest of the state, and even the movement itself. There we are at one. So we are very pleased about that, because we were raising these issues before, and we felt, like in the 3-4 years in the lead up to NASREC, that we're beginning to drift apart as the alliance in terms of collectively tackling this problem.
Another very contentious issue, GS, has to do with you, from time to time, the issue regarding running for elections independently. So with 2019 coming, was there any assurance from your side that you will continue to back the ANC, or you may potentially pull out if you want to?
Look, we raised the issue with the president that the ANC has started preparations for elections, but there are still some outstanding matters. Our resolution basically said our preferred route is to contest the elections through a reconfigured alliance. There is no resolution that we walk out of the alliance. Of course, then if we fail to reach an understanding on reconfiguration, that is going to cause problems. But what the president then indicated is that it's urgent, which also is what we are going to be finalizing our own position, our own document this weekend on reconfiguration, which then we are going to put as our proposal for discussion in the alliance, so that we are able to settle this matter as soon as possible, so that from now onwards, moving towards the elections, we are clear about what is it that needs to be done.
Proposal on the new form and figure of this alliance, if you were to share some thoughts, the proposals on the table.
Look, we can't now because we are going to be finalizing the document. Otherwise, I would be preempting the Central Committee. I'm not the Central Committee. I'm one of the members of the Central Committee. But we had raised certain things before in public, that it's important, for instance, on how the allies are consulted on an ongoing basis. The problem usually becomes very big immediately after the election because often big decisions are taken sometimes on how to implement policies. Big decisions get taken about deployments in a manner that is not inclusive. So those are some of the things that we will have to operate differently around. The other challenge has been that, look, even at the worst of times in terms of the alliance, always at national level there's been this maturity. Even the way we differ, even the way we seek to address the problem. But the situation is bad at sub-national levels, especially at branch and regional level. The alliance just hardly exists. There is hardly respect in terms of how the allies are treated and so on. So one of the things we would like to see is that whatever understanding we reach at national level, it must permeate right through to grassroots structures.
And the issue of the political killings in KZN, are you going to look at that issue?
Yes, we have already discussed that. We are not yet finished, but we've been discussing that. It's a matter of serious concern. Of course, we must condemn it. And we need to try and find a way at a political level on how we create a better climate, political climate, that perhaps will contribute towards dealing with the problem. But as the president has said, the law enforcement agencies must act in order to actually arrest these people. We are also pleased that what he was saying to you is what he said to us, that he has already identified as president in his briefings that there have been lapses and gaps in terms of the criminal justice system. And he has now said, go plug those gaps and come back to me as president, as he was saying, to tell me how then are those gaps being plugged. Of course, we are going to support that effort as the SACP, because we really must just go past a period where political differences are settled through the barrel of a gun. Sebo.